Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is Paul George the real MVP of the Clippers? So that's the topic I want to get into today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro Premium community, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com. So let me get into this. We have a lot of content coming out today. So this, depending on when you see, this is the last one we're producing today. But depending on when you see this one, this is the first thing you're like, what are you talking about? But anyway, let me get into this here. So we all know that the Clippers have been on a revenge season thus far, given the fact of how they ended their season last year. All the hype that went into the season, how guys were walking around like as if they had won the NBA title, then going into the playoffs, getting past the Dallas Mavericks in the first round, then going up against the Denver Nuggets, being up 3-1 and then losing. I think, there was plenty of blame to go around after they lost that series. Some went around. Some of it was the coach's fault, not making enough adjustments. Some of it was the players' fault, not playing well enough. Some of it was a lack of concentration from players like Lou Williams, who had been caught out of the bubble because of, y'all know the story. Lack of personnel, not having the right players, enough size to defend Nikola Jokic and these guys, being able to defeat them. So, and of course, inconsistent play from Paul George. And in that game 7, he was horrendous, along with Kawhi Leonard. But Kawhi Leonard was doing his thing for most of the playoffs, but he didn't show up when the team needed him, and that's why he lost. Now, if you look at Paul George's numbers last season in the playoffs, there were nothing to write home about. If I pull up his numbers here, let me see if I can pull up his numbers. Let me see if I can pull up his numbers from the playoffs last year. They were poor. So listen, last season in the playoffs, in 13 games, Paul George averaged 20 points per game. He shot 40% from the field, 33% from the three-point line, 90% from the free throw line, got you 6.1 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.5 steals. But his shooting, his scoring was just horrendous. There were a lot of games in the playoffs last year where Paul George just looked like he was afraid to shoot. He looked like, literally, like Paul George got to the point where he looked like he lost all of his confidence. And at one point, it looked like he forgot how to play basketball. It was quite shocking. And for me, I was sitting there scratching my head. Now, granted, a lot of people said up until that point that, listen, we don't trust Paul George because he doesn't come up big in the playoffs. You didn't have to go any further than look at the Oklahoma City Thunder series when he just underperformed, he grossly underperformed the year prior. And people were like, listen, we don't believe he's that dude. And I was like, no, he's going to play better. And he went into the playoffs and he just made me look foolish, right? Made me and a lot of people look foolish. But listen, no one could have expected him to play that poorly to the point where he's hitting the side of the backboard. But last year, the team wasn't good enough, right? It wasn't good enough. And this year, he came into the season saying he's on a revenge season. He said that. He said, listen, last year I had 2 shoulder surgeries in the offseason. I didn't get a chance to train. But this year, he said he trained. He got a chance to work on his body, work on his rhythm. And this year, he was coming for blood, right? And this season, Paul George has been playing out of his mind. This season, Paul George has been playing out of his mind. And he is having, in my opinion, probably the best season of his career. In my opinion, he's averaging 24.5 points per game. He's shooting 50% from the field, close to 51% from the field, 48% from the three. Think about that, 48% from the three. That's the highest he's ever shot in his career from the 3-point line. He's shooting 90% from the free throw line, something he's never done in his career. He's getting you 6.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.2 steals. To me, statistically, Paul George is having the best year of his career from an efficiency standpoint. He's playing great defense. He's playing inspired defense. He understands there's been a lot of chirping that's going on around the NBA. Some people saying that he thinks he's a top tier player he's in the league of LeBron. He thinks he's in the league of LeBron, KD, Kawhi, these guys, Stephen Curry, and these guys, when he's really not. A lot of players have been looking at him sideways, and he's been answering the bell, man. Listen, Paul George has been playing out of his mind. He's had exceptional playmaking for the Clippers. He's one of the driving forces for this team playing so well. Now, if you look at his co-star in Kawhi Leonard, who I think is the best player on the team, Kawhi Leonard is also having a great season. He's scoring 26 points per game. Him as well, he's shooting 50% from the field. He's shooting 38% from the three-point line. His three-point percentage has dropped. He's shooting 89% from the free throw line. His free throw percentages has dropped. He's getting you 5.8 rebounds, and he's getting you 5.1 assists and 1.8 steals, right? So Kawhi Leonard is playing well as well. He's scoring more, but Paul George has been the more efficient Clipper so far, but the two of them are having amazing seasons. But PG's efficiency is just been through the roof. Now, let's get to the crux of the matter. The question we're trying to answer here, and the question is Paul George the real MVP of the Clippers so far? Listen, I think it's a tough question, to be honest with you. Now, given the fact how the Clippers have played, they've lost 3 out of their last 4 games to the Brooklyn Nets. They've lost to the Celtics. And I think, they lost to the Celtics and they lost to the Kings last night. Listen, given the fact that Kawhi Leonard has not been playing well in these last few games, right? He's not been playing well. You're beginning to see the difference of not having Kawhi Leonard not having Paul George in these games, right? Because the team could have used him because he's just so efficient. Last game he played, he scored 36 points. He hit 8 out of 9 threes, right? The guy's just been playing out of his mind, right? And Kawhi Leonard has been there for these 2 losses, and he has not been playing well. Now, to be fair to Kawhi, and that's why I think this is not such an easy question to answer. To be fair to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George was on the team on that matinee day game against the Dallas Mavericks, the woeful Dallas Mavericks, when they lost by like 50 points, or were down in the half by like 50 points. Paul George was there. Kawhi Leonard didn't play in that game. There's no game that Kawhi Leonard has played in that Paul George has not played in that you've seen him lose by like 20 or 30 or 40 points. That hasn't happened yet. So Paul George was part of that 50-point loss, right? Being a part of that embarrassing loss. And Kawhi Leonard didn't play that game. So it's not as cut and dry as, it may seem, right? Am I saying that Paul George is a better basketball player than Kawhi Leonard? Absolutely not. Kawhi Leonard is more clutch. He's more accomplished in the playoffs. He comes up big when big games matter. So Kawhi Leonard, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that Paul George has now become better than Kawhi Leonard. We're just trying to measure their value, given at the moment that Kawhi Leonard is not playing well and not playing to the level that he's capable of playing. And given the fact that PG is out, one would look at Kawhi and say, listen, it's your time to step up, take up the scoring load. And I've kind of criticized Kawhi recently for not being as aggressive as he needs to be, especially on the offensive end of the floor. There are a lot of games where you needed a 40-pointer from Kawhi and he's chipping in 26-28, right? In that Boston Celtics game, you needed a 40-point game or a high 30s game, and you just didn't see that. It seemed like Kawhi has been content getting it between his 25 to 35 or whatever it is on a night in, night out basis. And, he just seems to be happy about, how he's performing when you need more from him. So I think it's a tough question to answer. I'm not really sure even what the answer is, to be honest with you. But given the fact that Kawhi has not played well in crunch time pressurized moments, I would say right now Paul George is the MVP of the team. Although Kawhi is scoring more, PG has been the more efficient scorer. Can this change as the season continues? Absolutely. But at this current moment, I would say PG is the MVP of this team. That's what I think. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think PG, to this point, is the real MVP on the Clippers, or do you think it's Kawhi Leonard? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.